Hey everybody, this is Claire, and this is Small Joyful Things. As always, I go to thrift stores or estate sales, or sometimes I buy things from Craigslist, and I'm always trying to find things that I think you guys might find interesting or that just personally appeal to me. And then I bring them home, try and find out as much as I can about them, and then tell you guys about them. So here's what I've got to say. I should arrange my desk better. So this is what I have today. I would actually call this a creamer, but apparently it's not. It's a miniature pitcher, so decorative item. I'll just put it down there so you guys can see it. I bought this in a thrift store for $2, and essentially I looked at it and picked it up and I thought, oh wow, I bet that's Fenton, because obviously Fenton is incredibly well known for the hobnail pattern, and I just had a feeling that it was probably going to be Fenton, and for $2 I thought, you know, I can't go wrong with this. I'm definitely going to pick it up. It is quite heavy. It's got a lot of kind of a little bit of weight or whatever to it. I don't believe it's lead crystal. It's probably fairly old though. I ended up flashing my black light on it, and it has the lime kind of glow or whatever of manganese. So, you know, definitely not like modern glass of any kind. And the style obviously is fairly old as well. Things to kind of know about it is that if you look at the hobnails, especially here at the side, you'll see that they're not pointed. And this is kind of the first indication that this is actually not this is actually not Fenton. I was definitely thrown by this when I actually went looking around, and I started looking at specifically Fenton hobnail in blue glass and trying to essentially match this to like Fenton in some way. And I did actually look at my Fenton reference book as well. I have the book called Fenton, the Second 25 Years, and I was absolutely trying to figure out like what's the deal with it. Like it's not listed anywhere. There was no item I could find in Fenton hobnail in my book anyway that looked anything close to this. The hobnail itself was not round, it was always pointed. This is unusual. And even if I could find something that actually matches the style of hobnails, there was definitely nothing that matches the rest of it. If you see a blue clear glass Fenton hobnail creamer, they're more likely to be opalescent, which means they've got the white rim or white tips or whatever on the hobnails, but the forms don't look like this, and they're definitely not footed. So I started searching. I looked around quite a bit to see if I could find a footed blue glass hobnail creamer that was obviously quite old, you know, vintage kind of 1960s, 1970s, you know, fairly kind of old. And when I actually just took a look at it, and I really couldn't find anything that matched. Like, I was definitely using the wrong keywords, but I couldn't figure out what it was. So what I ended up doing was, like always, I went to the glass collecting subreddit and I put the picture up and said, okay guys, hardcore mode, this isn't Fenton, and I got nothing. What do you guys think? And I got an answer very quickly from someone who actually obviously recognizes glass and has a lot more experience than I do. Hi John, thanks very much for your help. You're so appreciated. Can't say that enough. This is Kanawha Glass. So it is from West Virginia, from that era and location where basically it was just like glass companies wall to wall everywhere, in West Virginia. And it's a company that I've actually mentioned before, because I have a purple cased glass ruffled dish or bowl that is suspected to be Kanawha glass, but I can't match it to anything in particular. In this case, I can actually match it to something in particular. So first of all, let's take a quick look. So here's Kanawha glass. They did a lot of this kind of, there was a lot of art glass kind of stuff. I'll just give you some idea. The ruffled dish I have is the one in amethyst and white, and the outside it looks a little bit like that. You can see here there's nothing actually that kind of jumps out and says, oh, okay, that this is the same as this. Possibly the hobnail's there if you see, but that's obviously ruffled. It's a little bit more elaborate, and this is just your tiny little picture. A lot of what comes up here, if you actually just do a search for Kanawha glass, is all their blown glass stuff, like hand blown. This picture, for what it's worth, you can see the mold lines there. It is definitely not hand blown. It is pressed. It's a pressed piece of glass. It's fairly obvious as well. You can even see there that faint line. Someone actually mentioned recently that I shouldn't be moving things as much as I do, and Again, really sorry, I'm trying to break out of that habit. I do talk a lot with my hands, so the gestures just naturally come. But yeah, definitely a piece of pressed glass. Okay, stay. Okay, so Kanawha Glass. If you want to actually find out about them, I'll obviously drop a link in the description if you're curious. So they were around from 1950s to the late 1980s. The former employees for the Dunbar Glass Company formed Kanawha Glass in 1955 after Dunbar closed, and the new company was located in West Virginia and named after the Kanawha River. Now they did a fair bit of stuff that they were kind of, they got into the Blanco kind of style of stuff in the 1960s. They provided fashionable glass at the time, offering many forms in crackle glass. And the thing that they show up with a lot, if I just swap back over, and can I find an example that doesn't, which I was looking at 2 seconds ago, and now they're gone on me. So the thing that can, like, if you're not just looking at their hand, like the blown stuff, what Kanawha are known for is slag glass, or stuff that looks like slag glass, the kind of swirl mix of colors of milk glass and others. And I don't have any examples here, unfortunately. But that and the crackle glass basically is like I saw a few pictures here that I thought were very nice, but now they're gone on me. Does that look familiar? Okay, so having said all of that, come on, let's look for Blue Hobnail. Oh, there you go. That's my, oh, come on. Trying to do this through the camera, I'll tell you, is tricky. And with my other hand. Okay, so blue pitcher and hobnail. Now, the interesting thing about this is that if you see these little pictures, now this was my mistake, and this is a kind of a lesson in how like Google keywords can kind of, they can really be your downfall as well as actually being helpful. This, by the way, there is the mix, the white slag glass kind of marble style of glass. That's the thing that comes up quite a lot for Kanawha if you're actually just, looking for their random stuff. Anyway, so here's the hobnail blue. And you can see looking at it that, yeah, okay, this looks kind of correct. But the fine detail is kind of not quite right. You can see that the handle on this one is different. It doesn't have the little flick at the end. And the spout is slightly different. The base looks the same. And the spout looks very similar. But it's kind of not exactly the same. This one is probably a better match for it, on the spout at least. You can see that the sweep here, the way the hobnails are arranged, the way that they're offset as well, the little flip at the top, that little flip in the lip. But you can see that this also has that little kind of flick out on the handle. The form doesn't quite match. But having said that, we have our good friends replacements.com. There we go. Hobnail blue with no trim in Kanawha, and that is a direct match for that. That's about as good as we're going to get. I think I'm fairly confident in saying that even though we can't find an exact match just based on the handle, this is definitely Kanawha. We just can't really date it, unfortunately. We know it's vintage. It's going to be before Kanawha closed in 1989, and after obviously the 1950s, but it's going to be a bit fairly fuzzy in there. I would probably guess the 1970s, because this kind of seems like that kind of art glass style. Obviously this is the cheapo version because it's not hand blown, but it's still kind of nice. I think it's got a kind of a Blanco kind of style feel. Especially the very bright colors, that was definitely a thing for the West Virginian glass companies around that time. So having said all of that, what's it actually worth? Bearing in mind, I spent $2 on it. And, well, here you go. The bad news is that Kanawha Glass is not especially popular. I mean, it's nice. It's mid-century. It's vintage. It's got a lot of style. It's very colourful. Not exceptionally valuable. And you can see here some kind of examples. There's that marble glass or slag glass or whatever again. There's another one there. You can see that they just don't sell for a whole lot of money. You're going to be talking, like, there's a pair of quite nice ones or whatever, but that's slag candle holders. And that's even a best offer accepted. So, do we have any pictures? Not really. We've got these here, which sold for practically nothing. I would say, based on what I can see here, this is probably worth the $2 that I spent on it. I doubt it's going to go for more than that. I will probably put it up on Etsy, and I will sell it for probably $20, and that's with the shipping included. So hopefully someone might like it. It is kind of nice, and it's like, hey, if you don't want to spend a ridiculous amount of money on Fenton, maybe you'd like this as well. One thing I will say for what it's worth is that this handle is completely unusable. I have tiny little fingers. This just does not work. You basically can't use it. You have to pick, this is either a decorative piece or you have to pick up the whole thing and pour it, you know. Just not usable at all as a kind of a piece of glass. I can definitely see that if you see that the other pictures where with the bigger handles, they essentially made this bigger in order just to make it usable in some way. So it kind of maybe this is a little bit older than I think it is, but yeah. Such is the dangers of vintage glass, I guess. I still kind of like it. The color, I have to say, is really nice. So this is my small joyful thing for the day. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.